Faster than writing a letter for 'em, more thoughtful than angry clickbait, able to discuss the world's first superhero and comics, films, TV, and more. It's the Supermaniacs. I'm Fatheree. I'm glad to be joined by kaiju punching action Superman and Mike.
It makes it look like he's fist pumping. Like, yeah, Superman. Awesome. Yeah, I bought the kaiju fighting Superman. He's supposed to like punch him here, and it's supposed to release all the goo. I don't have the goo with them.
Oh, that is gross on the inside.
It comes with this gigantic packet of blue goo that you're supposed to put in his back. Right. Yeah, you're supposed to put it in the back here. And what happens is when you punch it, the goo's supposed to splatter out, which is very horrific.
Yeah, that actually
for a figure.
Nothing that violent happens in the movie. But...
Well, yeah, because the stomach explodes, but it's not
right.
A Mortal Kombat fatality where it spills out into the streets.
You can see why, like, a toy person, if they get, like, okay, here's, like, the script for some of our action scenes, you could be like, oh, like, the guts of this monster explode? That would be perfect for a toy.
Kids love monsters' guts exploding. They love that sort of thing. Just imagine that with goo flying out of it.
Yeah, that was one of the more memorable toys that came out last year for the movie.
Pretty horrific. But I also bought the set of, like, 3-inch figures, because there's the engineer... And here's the Ultraman, and the number 4 is back there with my other Superman. Yeah, put him next to him. But I bought specifically for the tiny Superman, so it's more in line with the size.
Yeah.
For the fight, but I also can make him. I can also make it eat Ultraman.
That would be an interesting way to imprison the bad guy there, but
so yeah, the first time I did, he spilled out. He just hit the ground. I'd have to go get him, but yeah, I got a free gift card from something, and they were on sale, so I bought them both. I'm very pleased with myself. My girlfriend, not so much.
I think that was a wise purchase, but what do I know?
I think so. I just got to find a spot for it.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have time to talk about kaiju, or we'll be here all day. Because you know a lot about kaiju, right? You're a big Godzilla guy, so
I do. I need to buy a Godzilla now that's the same size, so they fight each other.
Hey, I didn't read any of the Godzilla crossover comics. Were any of those good? Like the DC stuff that they did with Legendary recently?
Oh, the first one was the Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong.
Okay.
That first one's really good. Like, it was just a fun time. I wouldn't call it, like, super coherent, but it's a good time. Where the second one is just kind of weird. Like, because the first one is about them, like, the Legion of Doom are accidentally sent to the world of, like, and it's the movie universe, too, by the way. It's the movie Godzilla universe, the Legendary universe.
Right.
And so they find out that Godzilla and Kong and them exist, accidentally transport to Godzilla and Kong into the DC universe, and a bunch of shenanigans start from there. And it's cool watching Superman fight Godzilla, only for, bullshit reasons for why he loses type of thing. And then the second one is just fucking weird, because they make like a portal that lets them go back and forth between the two universes, and the Suicide Squad's able to create a serum that turns people into kaiju size, but sometimes they die because it makes them stupid or something. It's fucking weird as shit. Okay. The second one's terrible. The second one's real bad. Or at least in my opinion, I think it's bad. But they made these awesome figures though that were similar, where they came with like a full size Superman and like a 3-inch one together with a Godzilla. Same with the Batman and a King Kong and a Wonder Woman and a King Kong that they made for those figures, and they're real nice that they made those McFarlane ones. So I highly recommend those guys if you haven't seen those. It's weird. Marvel got like Japanese Godzilla crossover stuff.
Yeah.
And DC got the not movie one, because it makes it sound like there's no such thing as Godzilla movies. They got the American movie version of Godzilla.
Right. American Godzilla and Japanese Godzilla.
It's very strange.
But yeah, like a lot of film rights and stuff, like they can not all go to the same company. Like that's something that used to come up in Star Trek a lot because for a while CBS owned the TV shows and Paramount owned the movies, and they were part of the same company, but then they separated, but then they eventually came back together. And yeah, like the rights and licenses can be weird with stuff like that. But speaking of comic book crossovers with Marvel and DC,
Yes.
what we've gathered today to talk about is the original superhero crossover with Marvel and DC. I found out I was wrong. I used to think this was the very first collaboration between DC and Marvel, and I just found out today that is incorrect. They
Really?
actually they worked together on a Wizard of Oz comic that they did in the 70s, shortly
but
before this.
That's a fucking technicality. That's some technicality bullshit.
Well, the reason that that worked is why they were able to attempt this, though, because
Oh, okay.
they had both planned to do a Wizard of Oz comic in the 1970s, and when they found out, like, oh, the other guys are planning to do this also, instead of trying to do like an arms race to get like their Wizard of Oz comic out first and try to, get like the better writers, artist, whatever, they actually decided they would make more money if they just teamed up and co-published it together.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
they're
there's,
like,
I never knew that
Yeah.
about that.
I
That's
I just learned that just researching this. So because I was curious, who behind the scenes pulled this off when it happened. I'm sure in 1976, Superman meeting Spider-Man was a big fucking deal.
Well, I have the big fuck off DC versus Marvel omnibus that came out recently. And what's great about it, outside of having all these stories, is it has a shit ton of forwards in it because there was multiple re-releases over time, and everybody credits it to one man specifically to get the ball rolling. A literary agent actually named David Obst, who apparently represented Woodward and Bernstein. And he was like a literary agent who called at the time. It was Carmine, was it Falcone?
Infantino's
are accidentally, I forgot. I
Yeah,
accidentally got the name.
Carmine Falcone is a Batman villain.
Is a Batman
but,
villain.
yeah.
But he called both Carmine Infantino and Stan Lee and was like, "Hey, I think it would be great if you guys did a Superman Spider-Man or a storyline together."
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was like, "You know what? Sure, why not?" And I'm guessing it was part of that thing that you mentioned. They probably had they'd already had a good time working together that they decided to do that. And I didn't know this at the time, but the reason they chose everyone who worked on this is because at the time there were the few writers and artists who worked on both characters at that point.
Right. Jerry Conway had actually taken over Spider-Man after Stan Lee. He was one of the first people to write Spider-Man, and he had just left Marvel for DC when they were about to start this project. So
I also forget how incredibly young that man was when he was at that point, because he writes up one of the forwards in here, and he was like 24.
Wow.
When this basically happened, and there's some great forwards from him. One of the people who was like an assistant editor, Gary Conway himself. There's this set of quotes from both Carmine and Stan that are just them talking about like them being surprised this happened at
Yeah,
all.
there's like a letter from the editor from both of them, and
It's really cool.
Stan Lee's is very like Stan Lee, it's very like colorful and exciting, and then Carmen Infantino is very like formal and direct.
What's great about his though is he actually he credits a lot of people.
Yeah.
Where Stan Lee is very much like Excelsior, everybody.
Yeah.
Everything's so fucking cool. And names like one other person, and you're just like, okay, Stan, cool, bro. But Stan was always he was a showman, is what everybody has said about him.
Yeah.
Over the years, which is honestly, I think, the reason Marvel lasted as long as it did.
Yeah. Putting on the best show possible was the priority for him, and making sure everyone got due credit was not a priority for him. So.
No, he's like, I'm Stan Lee and you're not. That's kind of what his thought process was. and he was both the best and the worst when it came to that. But we digress. But yeah, 1976 is when
Yeah.
this whole thing happened.
So how old would the characters have been? Superman was created in 38, so he would have only been 38 years old in
And Spider-Man
76.
was at most 10 years old.
Yeah, I think 62 was when Amazing Fantasy 15 came out.
Yeah, so
So
he would have
14.
been 14 at most. That's crazy to me thinking
Yeah.
about that.
So what was like 2012 was when like Joss Whedon's Avengers came out. So like that's how old Spider-Man was. He was like the
Yeah,
same age as Avengers movies is now.
like I reading it, one of my favorite things about it, especially now because of how things are, is remembering the status quo of these two characters at the time.
Yeah, it's very much like a time capsule for both of these guys in the Bronze Age. I've read more Bronze Age Spider-Man than Superman, but this is like a classic example of like a 1976 Spider-Man story or a Superman story.
Yeah, because the funny thing is that everyone's like Superman, the brave reporter for Metropolitan newspaper, would be surprised that Superman. There's a gigantic time frame where he was a television reporter.
Yeah, like
He
20
was
years.
Walter Cronkite. Like in fact, they name a bunch of them like like he was Dan Rather, and all those guys. Like, but as Superman, and I like the fact that they point out they're like he's one of my best reporters, but he keeps kind of fucking off, type of thing, and it's just it's fun reading that status quo and seeing like characters that are more important during this time frame than they are later down the line. At least for some characters. For some of them, they're still very much part of but they're not the same importance they were at the time.
Yeah. And there's kind of like an inversion where, oh yeah, like Superman and Lois, they're a lot more happier now than than Mary Jane and Peter. So
Yeah, and then you see Jameson's there. Well, let's start with the actual thing. So what I love about this is that for people who don't know, because I have this on my wall, the original version of this is called what is it called? The version they printed it on, magazine size or something like that.
but oh yeah, it was a big oversized
It's
this
a
was
giant oversized copy.
a $2 comic back when I think everything cost 25 cents at the time, and
Everything
this
was very cheap.
yeah. So this is like
This
8 times the normal comic price.
this was a $2 comic, and the best way of explaining that now is that comics right now are about $3 or $4, and the facsimile version of this book is $20. So think about it kind of in the similar vein, because of that, and because the facsimile versions say 20 on the sides of it, where the original one still has $2, shaving haircut. But yeah, there's a specific term for tabloid size. They called it tabloid size.
Okay, tabloid slide.
It's in the introduction. But the reason I bring that up is the fact that it was larger than the normal comic was, so not only was it longer, it was larger. It was like it's like twice the size of one. Because I'm looking at my copy. I have my copy literally next to the absolute Superman, and it's like twice the size almost of it. And so yeah, $2. It sold like gangbusters apparently. And this thing came out, this gorgeous cover that's has been copied a million times over, homaged in many different ways. There's a great Alex Ross version of it. The facsimile edition they came out with recently has an Alex Ross version of that cover. I kind of regret not getting it now. It's probably harder to find now. But what I love about this comic is in fact they made sure that only the people who'd worked on both characters was on it, because you'd messaged me about it before we started, which is that the art is fucking phenomenal. Like it's the type of art that I kind of miss, which is that it's detailed but not overly detailed, because a lot of comic books, especially during the late 2010s up until I think fairly recently, I feel were more about like, I need to be as detailed as possible to make everything kind of realistic looking or whatever. And I'm like, I kind of don't like that version of, like, it gets kind of old after a while. It's like I really like the old school way of just like, this is really well well detailed, but everything is still very much
Yeah.
like it is. I don't know I don't know how else to put it other than a comic book, if that makes sense.
It started when Brian Hitch drew Mark Miller's The Ultimates and had like so much detail, and then that book sold so well, and then everyone was like, "Oh, every comic book artist needs to draw this level of detail, draw like all these straps and buckles and every detail in the fabric."
I also blame Jim Lee. Jim Lee is the other guy I blame for this, because he still is very bad about that even now. If you've seen his Superman Spider-Man cover, that's a good example of kind of overdoing it. But yeah, this book is fucking incredible. Like from beginning to end. The artist is Ross and Andrew.
Ross Andrew, yeah, who I think at the time was the artist on Amazing Spider-Man, but I think he would have taken over, when Jerry Conway was still on the book after Ramita Senior. And I've also learned this today. They didn't talk about this; they kept the secret for years, but apparently Neil Adams redrew a lot of the Superman action panels in here, but they kept it secret so not to like tarnish the reputation of Ross Andrew.
That's crazy. That's actually I believe it too, though, from some of it, because I was reading some parts going, this feels a little Neil Adamsy in some Superman sections, but I was like, but that's probably just because that was the style at the time. So because Neil Adams was another guy that people like copied the shit out of.
Yeah.
When it came to like how detailed he was without overly doing it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
People don't know Neil Adams is the reason why Batman and Green Arrow look kind of the way we love them now.
Especially in 1976, he's like the hottest artist in the industry at the time.
Oh, 100%. Like you wouldn't have Batman the animated series Batman without Neil Adams. Basically, like, he would not look the way he does in that show. But yeah, what I was really like surprised by and reading the because I have the original one as well, as I mentioned. I tried reading it one time, but I think I didn't want to damage the book too much, so I just put it away. So I made sure I used to read it online all the time because it was very easy to find online for years, even before they made official versions of it. And so I made sure about the omnibus. Reading the omnibus was great. Unfortunately, as I showed you, there was one or two misprints that happened. And there was one or two thought spots that were harder to read on accident, because there's one point when the characters first show up at some location and everybody's talking, and there's one bubble I couldn't for the life of me figure out
I hate
who
that,
they were
yeah.
talking to. And so I had to look it up online to figure out who was talking. And it turns out it was Lombard in that scene that was talking. But what I really, really liked about it is that the book is beginner friendly as hell. It's like if you've never read Spider-Man or Superman before, they go out of their way to going, hey, here is the rundown of who this guy is. Here's a small story about them fighting their villain, and it's going to be used as an epilogue. And it reads like a single issue, like that you would be perfectly fine reading it from beginning to end as one issue, and then it has like this kind of quick. Just like, hey, by the way, this is Superman, left from Krypton, became Superman. Now he's a reporter. He's the fucking best type of thing. And then it's like, here's Spider-Man, by the way. Spider-Man doesn't save the day right away, gets kind of beat up. That's my favorite thing is that Spider-Man, when it shows Superman's side, Superman like is winning the entire time. When it shows Spider-Man's side, he gets his ass beat. And then he kind of wins, and then like his life kind of sucks, and it's just really funny to me. Like off the bat, Peter's life is still shown as being shitty, and they're like, and by the way, here's Spider-Man. This is his name. This is Peter Parker. Like, great power came great responsibility. And then there's a small explanation of who Doc Ock is. It's like, this is Doc Ock, had an accident, tentacles fused to him. This is Lex Luthor, giant asshole, lost his hair, hates Superman forever. And that's the other thing I always forget is the time frame this came out, because Lex Luthor isn't businessman Lex Luthor yet.
Right.
Businessman Lex doesn't exist yet. He is mad scientist. And there's a point where I almost laughed out loud because I forgot about it, which is that he's driving a ship that has Injustice League fucking like
yeah, there's like
landing on it.
An Injustice Gang logo on the side of his spaceship.
Like it feels like an action figure that in real life, like type of thing. Like there's no reason to like why would you make that Lex type of thing? And so, but yeah, the beginning is that Lex steals something like a prototype thing, like a
Yeah,
navigation thing,
from Star Labs.
with a very fun robot that he uses to not really humiliate Superman, but like distract him long enough to get away originally.
Yeah, but you get like this really cool 2-page splash of Superman, in the beginning of an action scene. It's just like the story opens with like Superman spots a giant robot wrecking a building, and is like, well, looks like this is a job for Superman.
And it's such an old school Superman fight because it's the robot's not. I guess we mentioned everything's so detailed nowadays. Everything's so overly designed. Whereas back then, when somebody's like, "I need a spaceship," okay, it's round, it's got some fins. There's your spaceship. Or now, if you've designed a spaceship, you're like, "Well, you need to know where the motors go, and you need to know where the propulsion goes, and where the engine is, and all this stuff." When you look at this robot, yeah, it's a robot. It's kind of square. It's got like a mouth area. It kind of like it does some stuff. And
It looks cool though. Like
design.
even with it being like a little bit more minimalist, you still get the sense of how mechanical it is and how strong it is, and the dialogue does a lot of heavy lifting, talking up like the technology in it, like
Well,
how
that's what I
it's
love about it. They didn't give a shit about that. They didn't look at it and go like, I need to make sure that this is like you would see this motherfucker in Pacific Rim type of thing. It's like, no, I would see that at a toy store and be like, that's pretty fucking cool. And it does, and it has a lot of like punching things that it just pops out and just punches Superman in the face. And what I thought was really funny is that if you read that story as well now, there would be Superman would be like, I'm having trouble fighting this thing. Like it's, but instead he's like, I'm not actually getting hurt by any of this, but the problem is I'm getting thrown through stuff.
yeah, there's an
Left and
inertia ray.
The inertia ray actually made me laugh because I'm just like, come on, guys.
It's like a reverse tractor beam, I guess. It
Yeah.
pushes instead of pulls.
He used an inertia ray on me and a gravity beam for his legs or something.
But it's so classic, like Bronze Age Superman, in that like it shows him being like, he's a smart guy, he's clever, he solves a lot of his problems by thinking, and he figures out like, oh, the gravity beam or the beams are what supports this massive robot. So if it can't hold its own weight, what I really need to do is like push it down, and then he pile drives the robot into the ground.
Yeah, and what's great is he also like he tries some other things that are so old school. He's like, I'm gonna use my heat. It's funny because they don't even say. I don't think they ever actually use the term heat vision in this comic for some reason. He says my infrared vision or something like that to like heat up the robot's like mechanics or some shit. I'm like, just say heat vision, bro. You can say heat vision, but that shows that Bronze Age Superman was more of like a thinker, like you said. They were much more leaning into the fact that like there's a reason why him and Lex Luthor fought each other so often, type of thing, and why Lex never constantly won. Because this Lex is always like full science. I'm in front of you. I'm smarter than you. Here's my science, type of thing. Where other Lex tends to like cover his tracks because he's a businessman. So he's never like fully like, well, I want the world to know that it's me who killed Superman, type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's less important to be smarter than Lex, type of thing.
Before 1986, Lex was like a proud criminal. Like even like the Gene Hackman version, he took pride in how good of a criminal he is.
Yeah, they arrest him and they were like, who the fuck is this guy? He's like, fuck you guys. He pulls his wig off. I'm Lex Luthor.
Yeah, criminal mastermind. Yeah,
of our time, you asshole. And they're like, oh, okay, arrest him then. He's like, oh, shit, I'm sorry.
But the same comic shows Lex's smarts, too, because then after Superman pile drives the robot into the ground, and it's just like this big robot head is the only thing sticking out of the ground, the robot head takes off straight up like a rocket being launched, and Superman goes and chases the robot head. And then Lex is like, you idiot, you fell for my trick, and he just gets out of the robot's body with his jetpack.
It made me laugh because it's very like fun because of the fact that like they're both very intelligent and they both just have these dumb things about themselves. And then because even when Lex like Lex gets away, he doesn't fully get away. He's like, he finds him in another technologically advanced thing, which is like a sub that also has another punching thing. Because Superman gets close to it, and it's just like, pow! Just punches him in the face. He's like, oh, what the fuck, dude? And then but then he like has this very interesting like set of laser things that he does. But Lex doesn't seem to understand that he's out in the open. He's like, yeah, my laser field will defeat you, Superman. But he's so full of himself that he didn't even put a wall in front of him. Like, he just sat there in a chair staring at him.
Because he wanted to watch it, yeah.
Yeah, but you think he would put like a clear wall in front of him or something. Something to keep Superman to just jumping right at him. Instead, he's just like, yeah, I'm right here. Fucking what of it, bitch?
But he's waiting for Superman in like this really cool like underwater robot spider looking submarine tank vehicle. Like it's another really cool design. And then when Superman like gets inside of that thing and is ready to take down Lex, he's like, oh, you're right where I want you. Like I'm about to watch you die. Like then he's all disappointed when his lasers don't work.
Yeah, you think he would have had a plan B, and he doesn't have one at all.
But he just wanted to see it. But it was like Superman smarts. He says that, the web of lasers was really a maze, and
which was really cool. I have to admit that was actually kind of cool. It is kind of fun that he was like, it's a web of things, and it's almost like Gary Conway just looking at you going, eh? Huh?
Oh yeah, we're referencing Spider-Man already. So yeah, we didn't really forget fun. He's promised in this book too.
And so yeah, it's this great little scuffle, and he's defeated pretty quickly. Although I forgot to mention, Superman also thwarting Steve Lombard and his prank that he tried to do on Clark.
Yes, classic Lombard thing, and they've brought Steve Lombard back in like modern comics. He's a big part of the Daily Planet now. But
what I forgot about Steve Lombard is that he looked like a character out of Anchorman back in the day.
Yeah, I forgot that there were these depictions of him without his mustache. Like, what kind of a sports reporter looks like this? Like, he needed that stash.
The stash is kind of what sells Steve Lombard nowadays, because back then, like I said, he looks like any other 1970s reporter type of thing.
Yeah, he has a very 70s haircut. Yeah, and it's so red hair like Jimmy. That's confusing.
Yeah, I think their main difference was like not having freckles on him. I think was how they made sure you didn't know it. And so him still pulling pranks on Clark is a lot of fun, but they're a lot more. They're very childish, but I like he tried doing the bucket of water on the door, and like that somehow Clark's able to use super breath to keep it in the air long enough for him to close the door again to balance the water, which shows how OP Superman is, by the way, because he does that without even looking at the bucket.
Yeah, it's like, is he just like aiming his super breath like straight up above his head? Like he's just like blowing the air like just like straight up. It's awkward, but
it's fucking impressive is what I did. This Superman is a crazy person.
This Superman was just so casually powerful. He could do shit like that in his everyday life.
The other thing I forgot was how fucking important Morgan Edge was during this time frame. Because we're so used to Morgan Edge being kind of just the villain almost at this point.
Yeah, he's the Perry White, basically. He's Clark's boss.
And he's closer to Jameson is in like tone, because he's constantly just being like, you know what, Clark, I think you're the best, but also just kind of just don't fucking like you, dude. But he's like a dick version, like almost a bigger asshole version of Jameson is, because Jameson at least likes Peter, even though he doesn't say he does, type of thing. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but I mean that's something that's been kind of retconned in recent years, though. When did I'm trying to think of like anything in like the old like Stan Lee days of Jameson that would have indicated.
There are things with Jameson where it's like it's clear that he cares enough about him that because there's plenty of ways for him to have just fired him, type of thing.
Yeah, that's true. I guess he's become an even more sympathetic character in some of the more recent years, but there was always like a hint of that in there.
They've retconned like the reasons why he originally kept Peter on.
Yeah,
like there's a super famous one that goes around all the time, where Jameson shows that he knew about Ben having died, and he saw himself as like going, well, the kid needs something to do. He needs something to do. He's just lost essentially his dad. Like, I'm not. And I love the idea. Because I actually love the idea that the first time he ever sells pictures to Jameson, that Robbie's like, these are terrible. Like, I love the idea that Robbie Robinson's just like, who's normally the nicer one of the two, was like, these are awful. Like, this is some
Yeah,
bullshit.
but
Like,
he's no business. He's very like
Yeah.
direct and sincere, you know.
yeah, which is what makes that a great retcon, because it's like you're so used to Robbie being the one that's always like, well, give Peter a break, because even in some of this stuff he does that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in that retcon, he's just like, dude, this is a business. He's like, these are some okay pictures of Spider-Man, but some of them are terrible. But I like that. I like the fact that Jameson has gotten retcon more and more, and there's some small hints at the fact that he kind of cares about him, but not a lot of them in this story, at least. But Morgan Edge, though, boy howdy, I forgot how much of an asshole he was.
You know, when was the last time the comics used Morgan Edge? Like, I remember him showing up a little bit in the New 52 stuff.
He was in the New 52, and he was part of the Brainiac thing, I think. Right? He was part of that Brainiac storyline. I don't remember the last time I saw him in current continuity.
It's been a while.
You got me curious on that, because it's been a bit. Because they did a hell of a twist with him in
Superman and Lois.
Okay, according to this, he's only been brought up since Rebirth has started. He hasn't shown up in anything that I can find, at least. But he was a big part of the New 52, at least.
Yeah.
But he after that, he just sort of disappeared. And he was also the versions of Morgan have changed in different continuities as well, because he was also like a business associate of Lionel's in Smallville.
Right.
The point where he was like one of the few people that knew Clark's secret. And he was played by two different actors as well.
Right, yeah, they had to do the plastic surgery thing to explain that.
Yeah, which I thought was a fun thing. But Morgan Edge is a very interesting character, because he has stood the test of time while also being both a supporting and a villain at the same time for Superman.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what was going on with Perry White during this time frame. I
But
think the assumption was he was just still running the
daily
part.
the Daily Planet, which they mentioned the Planet. They mentioned that
Morgan
Edge still owns it.
Yeah, he bought it out, I think was what the implication was, and then
Right.
he ended up just because I think the original idea was that he owned one thing and then he bought them, and then that's when Clark becomes, and it stayed like that as far as I know. Like I generally don't know what happened to Morgan Edge before whatever happened to Man of Tomorrow happens. But yeah, after with all that, we have. Yeah, you're right about the submarine thing, because it's got like walking and it's got these little things. It looks kind of like the Technodrome. Almost.
Oh yeah, from Ninja Turtles.
Like a smaller version of the Technodrome. I do like that, though. This still has a giant arm to punch Superman.
And it's like some cool underwater stuff. It's like, oh man, it's almost like I'm looking at like a Jim Aparo Aquaman comic or something. But
yeah, and Spider-Man stuff is pretty fun, because there's also a very fun Dr. Octopus vehicle called the Flying Octopus.
Right. So after Superman has an underwater battle with Lex and defeats Lex, and concludes what they label as Epilogue 1, you get Epilogue 2, where you get to see very similar. It opens with a 2-page splash of Spider-Man starting an adventure. He sees some, like crooks breaking into a building, right?
Yeah, they're breaking into what seems to be a museum. Is what they're at. They're breaking into the Metropolitan Museum is what it's called, and it's this gigantic fucking building. But he just happened to be in the area, and he gets into a fight with Doc Ock, who turns out and he has a bunch of henchmen, and they're flying. This is the funniest thing I think about it, is that Superman had an underwater fight with something with legs, and Spider-Man had a flying fight with an octopus.
Yeah, and Superman had a laser web, and Spider-Man is at the Metropolitan Museum or whatever.
It's a little fun design, because it's got this giant back, like the way an octopus head would be, and these two little cockpits that look like octopus eyes.
Yeah, it kind of has that that whatever that big bump that's on like the on a, like the top of an octopus's head. They have like
Yeah.
that big bump thing.
I do love that they referenced the Spider-Mobile because the Spider-Mobile was an insane thing.
I was wondering if it was going to show up, if it was going to make an appearance. But yeah, that was another thing from the 1970s.
That's a fun one. If people don't know about the Spider-Mobile, it's a fun time. It was a dumb fucking idea, but it's what makes it funny. And then yeah, I love the fact that it reads like a normal Spider-Man comic, and the fact that he doesn't win right away. Like he gets he gets some pretty good upper hands, but then he forgets about the flying octopus and gets fucking knocked the fuck out.
It's a good comparison of a standard Superman story and a standard Spider-Man story. Like in the Superman story, like Lex is so powerful and he does all these incredible things that would be like this remarkable feat of science and would be like so scary and deadly. But then Superman is so powerful and so clever that he's able to stay like a step ahead of Lex the entire time. And even though the stakes are high, Superman like always has control of the battle and is able to just, run down the clock to the end and eventually get the better of Lex and win. Whereas Spider-Man, totally different story. He's much more the underdog in the fight, as he normally is.
Yeah, and so and not only that, like, everybody's on his side when it comes to doing things. Where Spider-Man wakes up and immediately the cops are like, "Fucking freeze, motherfucker!"
Yeah, you don't see like Superman getting like shot at by the cops after he takes down a villain, and if he wouldn't even care because it's like those bullets aren't going to do anything to me.
Yeah, I do appreciate though that their personal lives, like at least professionally, are both fraught with issues, but it still feels like people are more fine with them showing up. In fact, I feel like I just noticed in Clark's point when it shows him boarding a plane that it looks like I think Perry is among them.
Oh, because they're going to the news conference, so that would make sense that
there's a man smoking, and it's very much a Perry White thing, and he has like the white on the sides.
Yeah,
and I don't think they ever say it's not Perry.
And he's standing next to Lois, so it would make sense that she would talk to him. But yeah, that was the end of the Superman prologue. Is after he defeats Lex and turns him over to the authorities. Clark Kent has to go catch his flight to New York to go to the big news convention that they're having, where all the reporters are going to be.
Yeah, and so Spider-Man, after losing, he finds out all his pictures suck because it turns out they weren't programmed correctly. This is the thing about Spider-Man's pictures is that it varies in continuities, but in some versions he has like an automatic thing that just takes photos. It turns out it had fucked up the pointing where it was, and they're just like, oh, all the synchronization was awful, and there's not a single good shot in it.
But it's hilarious the way it plays out because like Peter Parker shows up and gives Jameson the undeveloped film. He just hands like the little canister of film like I have all these pictures of Spider-Man fighting Dr. Octopus, and Jameson's like, oh, that's great. And then he hands it to an employee. He's like, here, go develop these pictures and plaster the best one on page 1 immediately. Let's get the midnight edition, whatever, the night owl edition, whatever he calls it. Let's get that out tonight. And so then when it comes back from the printer and Jameson sees this like god awful picture, and the guy is like, well, you told me to pick the best one, and this shitty out of focus picture was the best one.
Yeah, you get like Spider-Man's shoulder and I think Doc Ock's shadow.
Yeah.
Best if you're lucky. It looks awful. And it's just really fucking funny.
And the Jameson reaction to that is hilarious.
Yeah, he fucking tries to kill Peter Parker right then and there. He just yells, "I'll kill you with my bare hands."
And I love like
whoa,
the 1970s Peter Parker with like the blue jeans and the black shirt and then like the brown coat. I have a toy of that. Well, I don't have it anymore. I used to have like a toy of that Peter Parker, and then he could his head would like rotate and
Oh,
it
I know
would
what
be like,
you're talking about. I used to
yeah, it
have that one
would
too.
be the half Spider-Man mask to be like the Spidey sense indication. How they would Steve Ditko, I guess, invented that, where he would draw like the Spidey sense. He would have like half of the
Yeah,
mask over his face to convey that his spider sense was triggered.
it was one of my favorite visualizations of a spider sense that anybody ever did. And I always liked Peter Parker's 80s and 70s look. There's just something almost timeless about it. Like he could wear that now and people wouldn't have any issues with it. Like I think there was an image of Tom Holland wearing something that looked like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends type outfit, and it was like, yeah, you could just keep wearing that now. Nobody would bat an eyelash. But in Peter Parker fashion, he's going to go on a movie date with Mary Jane, but just before he's able to get out, his spider sense tingles, and there's a blimp that he sees, and it turns out this was very fucking impressive to me because I didn't realize this the first time I was reading through this again, was you do see a shot of Spider-Man dropping a spider tracer on Doc Ock during the first part of the fight. And so it turns out, yeah, he dropped that on Doc Ock. And there's even like a small panel that just says, if you missed it, look again, flashback fans. And I did. I'm like, well, I'll be damned. There it is.
Nice.
And so he defeats Doc Ock. He has none of his other henchmen. He was trying to get away in an empty blimp that was actually being piloted by the flying octopus.
Right, it was like the flying octopus machine had like a fake blimp built around it, and it's actually labeled Goodyear, like the Goodyear blimp. So it looks like the Goodyear blimp's just like floating down Manhattan, but it's actually the flying octopus vehicle.
Yeah, it's really fun. And then he defeats Doc Ock, and he then what I love about his,
he has no web fluid too. Like you see him have to do. Is again like another like comparison with Superman. Like Superman doesn't run out of anything that his powers are dependent on.
It's really fun, and it's funny because you never see him reload it during that time frame. But what I love about it is that, like with Clark, he's like, and then he went to go join his friends, and with Spider-Man, he's like, he went to go to try to find MJ, and then fucking didn't find her, and then eventually had to go find his friends. Like it's very much like, and Peter Parker's life sucks. And then yeah, it has this great other prologue 3, which is when Lex and Otto meet each other. What actually,
Yeah.
Before we move on with that, I want to bring up something that I love about this comic that I forgot to bring up. It doesn't fucking care to explain why they're the same universe in the story.
Right, they just happen to be like, oh, I'm gonna go to New York, and then he gets there, and Spider-Man's there, and Spider-Man's like, you're from Metropolis, okay.
Yeah, they're just like, look, everybody lives in the same world, fucking deal with it.
And this happens
great.
a few times. There were a few Marvel DC crossovers in this style where it's like, we've just always been in the same universe. It just never happened to cross paths before.
Yeah, when you read the Batman Punisher ones, or this Batman Spider-Man ones actually is a great example of that, where there's never a point where they're like, oh my god, there's a Into the Spider-Verse portal that I walked into and I ran into Batman or something. It's like, no, I just went to Gotham.
The old... in the 80s, they did an X-Men and Teen Titans crossover that did that also. That I've never read
Star
that.
Trek one too, right? The X-Men Star Trek one.
Yeah. This is like the X-Men always existed in the 90s of the Star Trek timeline. I guess Star Trek is in the Marvel universe.
It's fucking wild. Like I like that crossovers will just do that, and the DC not DC, the Marvel Godzilla ones do that too. They don't try to be like, well, Godzilla came from a different universe.
But in the old days,
he's always been here.
Marvel has had canon stories within Marvel that Godzilla participated in. You know,
he did, and then the newest ones just they don't. It's another example of them just going. Godzilla was always here.
Yeah,
I think I don't know if they ever bring up his old stories. In fact, you can find the omnibus for people who don't know this. They did just print out the omnibus of the original Godzilla Marvel run, which is really fun. But yeah, I just love that, like, there's never a point where Doc Ock sees Lex Luthor going, who the fuck are you type of thing, and like so they're just like, no, that's Dr. Octopus, I'm Lex Luthor, nice to meet you. Like,
but it's funny, like Spider-Man Spider-Man's never like, so when Galactus came to Earth and Reed Richards had to save the world from Galactus, like, why didn't you help with that, Superman?
Like, yeah, where was the Justice League?
I mean,
Like,
I
it's
guess
just really
Superman
funny.
was on a space mission that obviously when that happened.
Yeah, it's just really funny to me that like, but it's funny. It's in the forward too, where Jerry Conway is just like, yeah, and I just went. They're in the same world. I didn't explain nothing because I didn't care. And I just wanted to bring it up because I feel like that's something that nowadays
Yeah.
people ask about, and there are crossovers where that became where they're like, oh no, this is a different universe.
I mean, honestly,
Eventually.
that's the annoying thing about crossovers these days is that because it's always the same story of like a portal opens or two different universes get converged into one universe, or like, you know, it's they always have to spend a lot of time explaining how can these people coexist. This is kind of refreshing just to be like, yep, they live in the same world, deal with it.
I'm hoping the newest Superman Spider-Man crossover does the same thing, and it looks like it is because there's some of the preview pages look like Clark and Peter just hanging out as
So
like coworkers almost.
I did not read the Deadpool Batman stuff that came out last year, but what did they do with that?
I actually didn't read it either.
Neither one of us read it.
I meant to read it because I just forgot entirely.
I might
And
try
because
to
I
read
kept-
it now, like
because
within
what
the next few
happened-
days.
I was waiting for the second one to come out so I could read them both back because I don't care enough about Deadpool to read a crossover with Batman that much. Although I did look up some of the backstories because there was some backstory stuff because I wanted to read the Green Arrow Daredevil one real bad, so I read that backup story because that's what they did with the new ones. They have backup stories that are different heroes meaning different other heroes. So they did a Green Arrow Daredevil one. The newest one's supposed to have a Power Girl Punisher one apparently. For the Superman Spider-Man one. There's going to be a bunch of those, but I should read that eventually. I because I know there's some sort of fusion that happens in one of them. That happens with Daredevil, or sorry, with Deadpool and Batman. So I'm curious to see what the fuck that was about.
Okay, I might try to read those within the next few days in anticipation for the new Superman Spider-Man crossover coming out.
Yeah,
I guess in
as well.
in 2 days. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, as of this happening, it'll be on Wednesday. I ordered a copy because I know that it'll work, and I figured that I wouldn't be able to get, I wouldn't be able to go out and get the cover that I want, if that makes sense. Because I would have had to have taken time off, and I don't think work would have been like, so why are you taking time off? I really got to buy Spider-Man and Superman comics. That's the only reason.
Yeah. I would approve
Like,
it
what?
if it was up to me. But-
They actually probably would still approve it. It's just it feels like a waste of a day. And I'm also kind of broke at the moment, and I'm worried that if I go, I will overdraft my card if I look at every single cover in front of my face, being like, and there's that one, and this one, and that one, and this one. Which is what happened to me with Ultimate Spider-Man #1. I bought like damn near every cover of that fucking thing because I actually did take the day off for that one. But yeah, Lex and Doc Ock meet in what is called the Federal Maximum X Security Penitentiary #1, the most escape-proof prison in the world. And I like that I like the explanation for escape-proof because it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, which is we have cameras and sound devices, and that's it. There's nothing else. There's no like knockout gas or anything that activates if you do something wrong.
1976 to be under like constant surveillance, you know, like closed circuit TV.
All we did was like add one thing that turns off Doc Ock's arms, and that's kind of it. We called it a day.
There's a lot of good art in the prison scene though, like there's another big 2-page splash of Lex and Doc Ock both in the same panel. It's the first time these worlds have collided in this story, but when you see Lex being brought in and he looks so like cool and confident and just like nonchalant and just not giving a fuck that he's been dragged back into prison, and you see Doc Ock looking all like pissy behind bars, and but like Doc Ock is almost kind of starstruck, like he's like, Lex Luthor here, like
he's
like
excited.
he's like heard of him, yeah.
He's like, that's the greatest criminal mastermind of our time. He's walking right into these doors, and he's meeting me.
And then Lex
Octavius.
is just like, should I know you, sir?
And he just immediately like knows that he's Doc Ock after he
Yeah.
says his name, which is really funny. I also think it's funny the way Doc Ock's arms work because they're kind of just flopping behind him.
Right, I forgot about that. His arms are just dangling from his
Yeah,
backpack thing on his back.
I guess they have like a default like holstered mode. I guess that's the only thing that makes sense to me. And I love the insanity that is Lex Luthor, by the way, because they're like they basically said we cavity searched the shit out of Lex Luthor. Is basically what they say without saying it. But then Lex is like, those dumb assholes didn't look under my skin, and then he pulls off a fucking fake
Like a
skin on
false
his arm.
outer layer of skin with a lot of flat little circuitry and little pieces and machines. I guess
It's fucking fascinating. Like it's the type of thing I feel like comic books forget to do. They forget to be silly in a way that's actually kind of brilliant type of thing. Because I never would have guessed to be like, well, maybe he has fake skin on him. I would never guess that of anybody.
Yeah, it's like that it's that classic Silver Age, Bronze Age mentality. And Lex, he like revels in his escape. Like he has like this evil smile the whole time. He's like building his little gadget and putting these earplugs in his ears, and he makes this little thing he hooks up to the prison camera's microphone so that the guards listening to the speakers get like the sonic sound on their end that.
Yeah, he's laughing up a storm the whole time. He did as well when he escaped in the jetpack as well. Like,
Yeah.
I forgot how, like, not just egotistical, but how proudly egotistical he was back in the 70s. And yeah, he frees Doc Ock, and Doc's like, "Why didn't you warn me?" He's like, "Because they would have warned the guards. What are you, stupid?"
But then he rides on Doc Ock's back, like he's like riding a horse or something. Doc Ock is like on 4 tentacle legs escaping, and Lex Luthor is just like riding him like a horse.
Yeah, and he's like just super pleased with himself
And
like,
laughing.
Yeah.
He has like the big ha 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 letters.
And I love that like it shows the Sonic thing is like takes out everyone in the radius.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
guards are like slumped over on the sniper towers. They're all fucked. And that's when they get the splash page of like, hey, by the way, this is Lex Luthor. He's got these things. He's very smart. Superboy made him bald. That's why he hates Superman.
Yeah, I guess
fun.
the prison escape is only 5 pages, but like they Ross Andrew drew the hell out of these pages.
Yeah, for people who don't know, this is like a 96-page comic.
Yeah,
I was trying to see if it was written on the comic itself.
So it would have been
It's on there somewhere, but I can't remember. But
4 times bigger than your standard comic at the time, and 8 times the price.
yeah, and it didn't really have that many ads in it too, because of the fact it was very expensive. But I love this 2-page shot of everybody showing up at the this convention. So yeah, that is Perry, but he doesn't have any lines in this entire comic. And Jimmy's there too, but he also doesn't have any lines in this comic.
Jimmy has one line at one point when they're at the TV station, because I remember him.
That's right, he does, yeah.
Because Steve Lombard looks so 1970s, and then Jimmy Olsen looks exactly how he looked in 1939 with his little bow tie.
Yeah, Jimmy comes in, he puts the news on about like what happened or whatever. And that's when Edge gets mad at Clark, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, but it was just it was only like one line.
Yeah, Jimmy really does just have the same green jacket and the red bow tie and freckles, but his hair is like a light red is the end, where Lombard's is like a dark red. I think that's the only other way of putting it.
But yeah, the news convention is fun because you see a lot of Spider-Man and Superman characters on the same page there when everyone's kind of arriving at the convention center.
Yeah, and they're all having this like little conversation about like being like, yeah, I'm happy to be here and stuff that happened and other things. Ned mentions having been in Paris at some point.
Yeah, Ned leads. So this is pre-Hobgoblin. That none of that had
yeah, he hasn't died yet at this point.
Betty Brant is here.
Yeah, Betty's there because I think her and Ned were either engaged or married by this point. And Morgan Edge. This was the panel I was talking about where I didn't know who was talking to who, and it looks like when somebody said, "Son, I know exactly how you feel," and then it's like, "Oh, I think that's what Robbie was saying at that point."
Right.
It was hard to tell on the paged version on the omnibus, but I love Peter's weird sweater here.
It's a cool sweater, yeah.
It's got this sort of Galaga-y pattern on it almost, or Tetris-y type thing on it. It's also just fun that Mary Jane is just here.
Yeah,
He cares enough about Mary Jane to just bring her to a convention full of nerdy reporters.
Yeah, she wanted to go to the news convention too to spend time with Peter.
And I love this entire sequence of Jameson yelling at him, and then Peter just being like, "I need you to back the fuck up, bro." Just yelling at him too. I also laughed out loud when Mary Jane's like, "By the way, you left me back there after you were so caught up in being like, I'm the man now, that you literally forgot us back there." He's like,
But yeah,
God, so
Peter's had it with Jameson so much, and he's like, Peter's mad, like, how come I don't get like a paid vacation? And Jameson is like, because you're not hardworking, you're terrible, I hate you. And Peter's like, I don't have to take this, I've had enough with you, and he storms off. And then Mary Jane is like chasing him, like, you forgot about me. But she's into it. She's like turned on by it. She's like, that was.
She thinks it's amazing.
So cool that you finally stood up to your asshole boss. That was hot.
Oh yeah, and he was still in college at this point. Yeah, there's this great line. There's this line that made me kind of giggle, where he says, "If you want me, Jameson, find me." I'm like, I kind of wish I could have a time frame to say that. Yeah, he's still in college. He says, "I'm practically a college grad." Speaking of which, he actually never graduates because of certain things that happen later in his life. And I'm just like, I'm in awe of like how Conway never loses the voice of any of these characters the entire way through.
Yeah, I mean, but that is so a classic Spider-Man scene, you know?
Yeah, I've read so many different crossovers over the years where you're like, why would that person be like that? Like that Godzilla Superman thing I was talking about. Like, well, why would that character be act like that? Why would that person do this? That doesn't make any sense, type of thing. Where they'd made such a great choice to have him do that, the writing on this, because nobody feels out of place. Lois is interesting in this time frame because I don't feel like she's that reportery, if that makes sense. Is the best way of putting it. But it looks like her and Clark are considered together at this point, based on the way they talk about each other.
I mean, I just assumed reading this it was just classic Silver Age. Like Lois just kind of thinks Clark is just kind of this goober at work, and then all of her romantic feelings are for Superman, but not Clark Kent.
That's true, and there's some really interesting lines here about the fact that Edge is thinking of not necessarily firing Clark, but not using him for more advanced coverage of things.
It's like Clark was going to be the news reporter on TV talking about the news convention itself, and Morgan Edge is saying like, well, you know, the advertiser we're working with, they don't really like you, so I'm going to replace you with like Walter Cronkite or Dan Rather, you know, like one of those famous people. But
my favorite thing is, would they even, you know, accept the job like that?
Yeah, it's like they probably have like an exclusive contract with their networks.
Yeah, he's gonna walk up to him going, "Hey, I want Walter Cronkite. How much for Walter Cronkite?" They're gonna be like, "No."
But you get to see more of that comparison and contrast with Peter, because, you know, we see Clark's asshole boss be a dick to him, and Clark just takes it, and he doesn't get all bent out of shape or anything, and he's just, you know, being like timid Clark Kent, like, oh well, I guess that's just how it is. And Lois is like, you're just gonna shut up and take that? And he's like, yeah, I am. So
the best part of him doing that sequence is that Clark takes his glasses off in the middle of that conversation. Because he gets smoke, Edge blows smoke in his face, and he takes off his glasses to pretend he's like, my eyes, type of thing. And he's like cleaning his glasses while Lois is like talking shit to him. And she never once goes like, oh, that's clearly Superman without his glasses on, or with like once his glasses are off.
He's got his back to her though.
Yeah, but like he takes them off like in full view of everyone. There's nobody in the entire, like it's not like the entire room stops, goes, hey, is that Superman in a suit over there? Like there's never a point where anybody says that. And I think that's like it's a great moment of the comic just being like, people accept that Clark is Clark. And
right.
that if any moment, if he tripped and his glasses fall off, that they would know he's Superman.
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
not.
that was really
I guess
fun.
that's why I don't like the. I mean, I don't really mind the hypno glasses being a thing, but yeah, it's like, well, if someone takes the glasses off of him? Would it like ruin the illusion?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I've known
prefer
plenty of
this.
people I've met without their glasses after the fact going, "Do I know you?"
Yeah. Um, but there's that big satellite thing, the com. What is it called? Comlab
Comlab,
1.
yeah, Comlab 1 satellite or something like that. And they
The
keep saying their hush hush about what it does,
the
which I still
world's
don't know what it
first.
does even now.
It's the world's first orbiting communications laboratory.
But why
So,
does it have? Never mind.
because apparently it can control the weather, but that's a spoiler for later.
Yeah,
But
and so I love this line. The reason I like this section where Lois decides to go look at it is because it has, I think, one of the only references to that I feel like the movie took after this, because the movie didn't come out until after this, right?
yeah, the movie came out in '78, so
Because he says, "Easy, miss, I've got you," which I almost thought was a reference to the movie,
oh wow.
but it's not, because the movie hasn't been made yet.
That is so funny though. But yeah, the first thing Peter says to Lois is "Easy, miss, I've got you."
Like,
Yeah,
it almost
he's
makes you think it's Superman coming to help her, type of thing. Because
yeah.
I thought it was a reference, but now, remembering that
Was
that's
that
not
a
what happens. Yeah,
did Superman say that in the comics before the movie?
he must have or something. But the fact that
I'm
Peter says that
yeah.
is like really fun to me.
Maybe I'll have to look into that. Maybe that was like a thing that we just always accredited to the movie.
Yeah. But and I like the fact that it's like a reporter to reporter type of thing. He's a photographer, but he still is like reporting the truth with his photos, sort of. You know, we all know Jonah fucks with the headline, but he's still the photos are still the truth, type of thing. And then comes kind of the thing I forgot what starts the entire verses, and I forgot how batshit insane it was, because Lois meets MJ and they're just like, "Hi." It's like, this is Lois, Miss Lane, this is Mary Jane, and they get into this cat fight, pretty much.
It is
Where
the
they're like hissing at each other.
yeah. It's MJ being an asshole to Lois because she had like this like moment with Peter where they kind of bonded over both working in the same industry. Yeah, this
Also, like he
part
says,
is
photo man with
awkward.
a hyphen, by the way. Peter says, "You need to know photo man," but it has a hyphen, like the way Spider-Man is.
Oh, nice.
I think that's really fun.
That's a fun touch. I did not notice.
But the funniest thing is when Superman shows up, and I'm going to use quoting fingers in this point. When Superman shows up, there is an error in the omnibus for the sequence where Superman flies down, because Lois is saying, "I only have eyes for," and she was alluding to Superman. There's this like shadow on his face, but on the omnibus they fucked it up and they made it like a flesh tone, so it looks really weird.
Yeah, yeah. Like when I saw that picture you sent me, I thought like, well, I want to like fix that with like a black pen or something because it
Yeah,
bothers me so bad.
If I knew how to do that, I would, and I'd be worried it would bleed into the next page, type of thing. But
The other weird thing there is like when Mary Jane thinks it's all weird that Lois calls herself Miss Lane. She's like, "Miss? Excuse me? You're one of those modern feminist women that call yourself Miss?" I guess some guys like that kind of thing, but
I don't think it was like considered like, I don't think it was actually being like modernist I think it was the opposite. I think MJ's like, "I'm the free one and you're Miss Lane."
it was like an old fashioned thing.
Yeah, she's like, "You're Miss Old Fashioned Miss Lane."
Like you
type
should
of thing.
introduce
I guess
yourself
some
as
men
Lois.
like that. Yeah,
Like,
I think she was giving her shit
okay.
for it.
It's like, yeah, why are you calling yourself Miss Lane? Like, why don't you just say like, "Hi, I'm Lois"? Okay,
It's
that
very
makes
strange.
more sense. Okay,
Very strange. And then something happened that made me laugh out loud, because I forgot this is what causes it. Is the Superman imposter fucking teleport visions them away?
yeah, it's like, well, we don't know it's an imposter at first because like the caption is being real cheeky. It says something like the costumed figure flies down or something like that. But yeah, this Superman shows up in the middle of like Lois and MJ having this kind of heated exchange, and like some energy beams come out of his eyes. The two ladies vanish, and then he flies away. And not only is Peter looking like what the hell, but also Clark Kent is still in the room looking like what the. He actually uses one of his Silver Age catchphrases, "Great Scott."
Yeah, for people who only attribute that to Doc Brown, Superman says it all the fucking time.
We get a great Krypton in here too at one point.
We do.
I think too.
Yeah, I think he says it during the when the weather stuff starts happening. Peter looks like he just saw these two women get vaporized. By the way, that's the look that his face has.
Yeah, that's what he's thinking. Like, I mean, given his life and like how many people he's had to like watch die, is like Uncle Ben and like Betty Brant's dad, and now he's just like MJ too. Like, I just lost Gwen like 6 months ago.
Yeah, it's all fucked, and I love that the first thing Spider-Man that Peter says is like, "Where are all the phone booths?" His assumption is I need to change into Spider-Man with a phone booth.
You have Peter asking, Clark Kent for the nearest phone booth.
Yeah, they're all stalls now, and Peter's like, "Well, fuck."
Which is another gag in the '78 movie, but this comic did it. Did like Richard Donner read this comic?
I feel like he did. I think he was a big fan of Spider-Man. He's like, maybe I should make a Spider-Man movie, and they said no. And he's like, I guess I'll make a Superman movie.
Yeah, this is when he crossed over from Spider-Man to Superman.
But I love this entire sequence of like, and it's crazy that I always forget that in a lot of these stories, this is kind of what starts the crossover story where they meet each other and they have to fight each other. But I also forget the fact that Spider-Man is considered a menace to everyone. So it's funny seeing Superman immediately be like, well, this guy's clearly the asshole when they meet each other. Like, it's weird seeing Superman not give Spider-Man the benefit of doubt right away.
Yeah, I mean, Spider-Man has a reputation as a masked menace.
Yeah, but it's weird. It's like, why would he have done anything? Why would he be behind the Superman vaporizing people thing? It's like, he just showed up, and you're like, you have explaining to do, Spider-Man. What was that other thing? You're like, what are you talking about, dude?
Yeah,
I'm Spider-Man.
You must be working with my imposter, web slinger. He keeps calling him web slinger too, and like sometimes it's like he's like saying it as like a slur. Sometimes
it kind of does sound like that. But Spider-Man says the most 70s thing ever, which is far out. It's really super bad.
He says it's a few. I mean, he's supposed to be a college kid in 1976.
It's just the way he enunciates far out all the way that always cracks me up from that sequence. And then they just fight.
But the fight is good. Like, they had to be very careful to appease both sides of editorial. They had to make sure that like they both appear on like the same number of pages, and they both like take up the same amount of page space, and they both have like so many just cool looking panels in some of these action scenes.
Yeah, and what really sells the fight to me is the fact that Superman immediately goes, wait, I don't think I might have jumped the gun here, and the only reason the fight doesn't stop immediately is because Spider-Man is the one that goes, no, you started this shit. I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna fucking finish this bullshit. Type of thing.
But the other cool thing is that to make them actually be able to fight, they don't nerf Superman. Instead, they boost Spider-Man. He gets the red sun radiation energy shot on him by Lex, who we should say, it turns out Lex was wearing a Superman costume and a Superman mask and is flying around with his technology as the imposter Superman who abducted Lois and Mary Jane.
Yeah, it's a really fun scene of these two guys. They shoot him with the ray, and Spider-Man just starts beating the shit out of Superman.
Yeah.
And the worst part is that Clark's like, I can't just fucking start wailing on this dude. He's just some fucking guy. I don't know why he's so strong, but he's just some fucking guy. And I love that eventually Superman gets pissed off enough that he's like, you know what? I'm going to fucking try to punch this dude.
But he's kind of like, Spider-Man's like a glass cannon. He's really strong and he can punch really hard because his punches have red sun radiation, and so they like punch through Superman's invulnerability. At the same time, he is still just as I don't want to say weak, but he's still just as vulnerable to a Superman punch as he would be typically. So
Yeah,
when
like this.
Superman,
Oh, I was just gonna say this isn't just like Injustice. Like he didn't take a pill and he's like invulnerable. Oh, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
but when Superman gets fed up enough that he finally is about to punch back, and then like he stops himself like an inch before hitting Spider-Man's face, he like pulls back, but the the air from that, the wind blast, as the comic calls it, is strong enough that it just yeets Superman. I mean, I'm sorry, it yeets Spider-Man off of the building
I had
through
I
another
had
building.
I had remembered him like tapping him originally, but this is even worse. This is even more hilarious because of the fact that he didn't even punch the man. He stops like this far away, like people can't see, but like his fist is like
Yeah,
pretty far away
like
from
an
him.
inch away.
But the sheer amount of power was so fast and so quick that the air itself launched Spider-Man through a building.
He like flies through a modern art exhibit and then comes out the other side of the building.
I also like that Clark is like is constantly warning him before he does that. He's like, get your head calm now, or so help me.
Yeah.
That's literally a line he says. And this other one, of all the stupid, stubborn clowns I've ever met, Spider-Man, you take the cake. Can't you get it into your skull that I've been trying to talk to you? I feel like if Superman was saying these lines in Batman v Superman, I would be much more forgiving of that fight.
This is a better version of, yeah. I wish, like, instead of Richard Donner reading this comic, I wish Zack Snyder had looked at it.
I also love during this fight, he's also still keeping damage to a minimum because there's this point where Spider-Man punches Superman off of the building, and he rips off the side of this building, but he catches them and then puts it next to him before he tries to punch Spider-Man. And I thought that was really fun because it shows how much Superman's like, I need to make sure that we're not getting anyone killed.
Yeah, it's not even Superman's town. Like, they're fighting in New York City, and he's like all worried about the architecture, worried about the statues.
And then comes one of my favorite parts of this entire thing, which is where Spider-Man is about to be like, is doing this badass set of flips to be like, yeah, and then he bounces the fuck off of Superman because the Red Sun stuff goes dissipates.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like he recovers from being punched through an art exhibit, pretty quickly. There's that cool panel where he swings around on the window of the building, gets back on top, gets up to Superman. Yeah, like you were saying, all the cool flips, and he's like turning like cartwheels and stuff, coming up to Superman. Like he says, "And boy, am I angry now!" Getting ready to like kick Superman. Yeah, and then just like bounces off of him.
It's such a like an over the top kick. Like he could have just kicked him normal, but he's like, I gotta show him that I'm fucking Spider.
Yeah, he turns all these flips and then like lands with like both of his feet planted on Superman's chest, like he's just about to like kick the ever-loving shit out of this guy.
Yeah.
And instead Superman doesn't move at all, and Spider-Man just bounces off back in the direction he came from.
And then comes one of the lines that I think you're alluding to that does not age well in what he says. Which
Spider-Man, how'd you get so hard so suddenly?
And then as he's hitting him, you have gotten harder. It's like, Spider-Man, bro, there's got to be a better way to say that.
But the art is also funny because Spider-Man, like he comes, it's like almost like in an anime or a manga, like when they'll draw like little kid Goku punching someone and he has like a whole bunch of hands, like he looks like he's a Spider-Man. It looks like he has like 8 hands at punching, but Spider-Man is just like going crazy with all these super fast punches, just like just like punching with both fists on Superman, and he's just like standing there.
I once found a GIF that somebody made of it. Somebody was able to take the image and they made a GIF of Spider-Man just. I used to have it saved somewhere. I wish I could find it again, but I know that Spider-Man's like, okay, I give up. We're not getting anywhere.
Oh, he's like,
my hands.
Oh boy, I broke my hands. He's like holding his hands like under his arms, like trying to like comfort the pain. And then like the next page, they keep drawing like these the lines, the squiggly lines coming off of Spider-Man's hands to remind you that his hands are throbbing with pain.
I also forget that after they have their heart to heart, being like, okay, we need to work together. When after they do that wonderful shaking hands scene that everyone knows is that the next second is him going, "Oh my god, that hurts so much." Because shaking hands with Superbad is not the smartest idea.
Yeah. And the Spider-Man's like, after they shake hands, he's hiding his hand behind his back, like trying to hide how much it like hurt him.
Because Spider-Man is very strong, but he's like, it's like the difference between Yamcha and Goku is the best way I can put it. Is that Yamcha is stupidly powerful, more than the normal human being is, but Goku is, Goku. And that's what Superman and Spider-Man are. They're like, you're very strong, but you're not Superman, man. And I love them. I love that when Spider-Man hitches a ride with Superman, he made skis.
Yeah, he has like web skis. He made a rope out of web to like hold on to so Superman can haul him around, but then for whatever reason he wanted to have skis on his feet, so it looks like he's skiing, like he's like water skiing behind Superman, pulling him across the sky.
The funniest thing is that the art seems to imply that he's somehow riding Superman's air flow.
Right.
That's what the art seems to be like implying.
He's riding the air current behind Superman.
Which is kind of fun if that's what they're going for. And then comes a sequence that I thought was kind of funny, by the way. Because they're like, this is where they most likely are. He's like, cool, I'm going to go in. Spider-Man's like, I'm going to go in because I'm all sneaky and Spider-Man-y. And he gets all of these traps. But my favorite of the traps is that every floorboard has a gun in it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a very elaborate old school death trap. Yeah, it's a straight up supervillain death trap that they walk into, and
it's such an evil death trap because it's like completely designed to fuck with Spider-Man.
Yeah, the walls are electrical, the ceiling is heated, and there are guns in the floor.
And then Superman just goes, "Yeah, I'm tired of waiting," and just flies through.
It's why not go in together, yo? But
and they come in at the same time, by the way. Like Superman waited like a good half an hour, and he still got there just the same time as Spider-Man did. And they're like, "Oh, I'm glad you guys showed up. We've been waiting for like a good while."
Yeah. They come in to find Lex and Doc Ock looking evil. Like Lex is like sitting in a villain chair, and Doc Ock is standing proudly by his side. And they mention that they still have the two women, that they are being held by them. And then we get the reveal when Spider-Man lunges at Lex and Doc Ock, he passes through them, they vanish, and they were holograms all along.
And they laugh right in their face. And I wish there were word bubbles to Lois and Mary Jane here, because it's clear they're arguing with each other.
Yeah, they're like on a TV screen, and like Mary Jane's like pointing her finger in Lois's face, and like Lois has like this, her mouth is open, like she's yelling something back at Mary Jane.
Yeah, like you would normally in an old school comic, you're expecting it to open up, and they're like, "Oh my God, help us," type of thing. Instead, it's clear that they're having their own issues right now. Like it feels like almost like Conway wrote as an actual scene with them, and it just got cut, type of thing. I feel like that's most likely what happened. And then Spider-Man decides to be like, "Hey, by the way, I know science stuff," and then Superman stops him because the computer explodes.
Yeah. Spidey's just like, "Oh, I can look on this computer and see where they were broadcasting their holograms from." And then Clark just blows super breath to like push him away as this computer explodes. But yeah, it's just funny how overpowering Superman can be with Spider-Man when he needs to be.
It's really funny because he's never gentle with him about any of it. And then
my Alexa's
Superman,
talking to me because I said the wrong word, but
that's funny. But then Superman does one of the most Silver Age-y things, which doesn't make any sense when you think about it, which is he rebuilds the entire computer from memory after it exploded, which he shouldn't have been able to do.
right before it blew up, he was able to study it with his X-ray vision and his photographic memory, I guess.
It's so fucking OP. He says from the smallest circuit up, and then the time it takes you to blink an eye. He does something the Flash would do normally.
I mean, don't they found the building because Superman just casually says that he was tracking the energy residue, right? Like,
yeah, the energy residue. He's like, "This is where the energy residue took me from the thing." You're like, and you always This is a great comic to remind everyone in the world how fucking OP Superman was. Not just as like power wise, but as like almost like a detective. Like this man, like there's an old have you ever heard of Solid JJ? Do you know who I'm talking about?
I guess not.
He's a YouTuber who makes he makes these like really funny like videos where it's just like it's usually like a series of pictures but they're like voiced over to be like Spider-Man meets like Electro or something. It's just like a dumb comic thing. And one of them is like Superman meets Batman for the first time, and it's just Superman doing stuff like this the entire time because Batman's like, yeah, I'm just looking for stuff there. It's like, oh yeah, I found all these residues with my supervision or whatever, and it matched their DNA with my supervision to that guy that's down the street over there. Because that's the type of thing he would do. Like he has the ability to look at a human being at the microscopic level. He could do DNA tests. He could be on Maury and be like, yeah, you're the father. You're the father. That guy's not the father. That one's the father. In fact, that guy's not the father, but I know who the father is. I can go get him real quick.
I mean, in Justice League Unlimited, when Superman meets Terry McGinnis, he does tell him, like, oh yeah, you and Bruce have more in common than you think. So,
and then comes one of the most awkward moments in this entire comic, where Spider-Man's like, I figured it out. Here are the coordinates. And he goes, that's in Africa, isn't it? And Superman goes, you're right. It's in Mount Kilimanjaro. And then comes one of the most uncomfortable moments in this crossover.
Well, okay, so when the Kilimanjaro stuff happens, I was like, okay, cool. We're getting a change of location. You know, we had Metropolis, we had New York, but let's get out of the city. We're going to go to Africa. Okay. And then I see like these tribal African dudes, and like then I get nervous. I'm like, oh no, okay, 1976. Okay. What did the white guys making this comic right about these tribal looking Africans? I'm going to be very uncomfortable reading this, aren't I? But like when they greet them, like you know, Superman's like introducing them. He's like you know, this is Spider-Man. I'm Superman. We're here looking for these villains. One has these robot arms.
This is the reason it's uncomfortable. Is that the first thing Superman does is he talks to these people the way you're expecting the scene to happen.
Right.
Because the first thing he goes, my friend and I have come from the sky seeking two evil men, one a man of many arms. And you're just like, Superman, I need you to fucking chill, bro.
Like he's trying to like mansplain it to these dumb, simple tribal people.
But then you're just like, I know who the fuck you are.
Yeah, like I loved that part when the guy is like, you're Superman, aren't you? I saw photos of you when I studied in London. I was like, oh, that is so cool and subversive.
Yeah, and then the rest of it's actually pretty subversive from then on, I felt, for the most part. Which is them just being like, yeah, I'm just going to explain to you, I'm Superman, this is Spider-Man, and there's evil afoot.
But they meet some of the other dudes in the tribe, this guy, they actually like say like who they're supposed to be.
Yeah, because the main guy is N'Chaka, and then he's I guess the chief's name is Chaga.
Yeah.
And then there's another guy later down the line that gets a name as well. I think he has a name.
But I guess to prove that he was really Superman to the elder Chaga, he wanted to see a proof of Superman's strength and abilities. So Superman starts juggling like all these tribal warriors. He's just like throwing a bunch of dudes up in a big circle.
That must be so disorienting for those guys.
Yeah, like think about like they're going like 20, 30 feet up in the air. Like think about like you come down and like you land, like your feet land on Superman's hand, and then like he throws you back up 30 feet, and then you come back down again. Like what the hell would that feel like to experience that?
Yeah, exactly. And so they're then told like, hey, we most likely know a spot where they could be, and then they're offered this weird mixture of milk and cattle blood, and Superman's face says it all. He's like, no, I'm good.
See, I thought that was weird. I was like, okay, I'm reading this, and I was like, okay, I thought it was going to be, like, weird and racist, and then it's like, oh, it's actually not. But then it's like, okay, but, like, then they still take the time to, like, show these people, like, they eat and drink really gross things. It's like, I don't know. I thought it was, like, a little...
It was a little weird.
Bad.
It like, that's the one part I probably would have taken out of it, just being like, well, like, we still have weird things that we do. It's like, yeah, but that's still... I still would rather have this not have been a thing. It's the only part of the entire comic that doesn't age well, because even the way they're dressed is still kind of like a little off-putting here and there. But then they eventually find there's a tribesman that went missing in an area. They find him, and he's been souped up with red sun radiation as well. And then,
Oh yeah, that was cool that his sword was also charged with red sun radiation, so he was able to, like, when he's swinging that at Superman, it's actually putting Superman in danger.
so this is one of the shots I mentioned that I thought was very Neil Adams, which is the part where his hair gets cut by the sword. When you
Yeah,
look at Superman's face, that is so much different than the way he's been drawn before this point. It feels like a very much a Neil Adams Superman face, if that makes sense to people.
yeah, no, I think you're probably right.
And then comes a line that I thought was really weird, where Spider-Man's like, "You've supercharged my webs so they have the consistency of steel." I'm like, I thought that's what your webs already did.
Well, I guess they were even stronger. Yeah, he should have said like titanium or something.
Yeah,
I
something
guess.
like the hardest type of steel, but
Yeah.
'cause that was kind of the point of the webs. Because if not, your webs are bullshit, Spider-Man.
But yeah, Superman used heat vision on the webs to like harden them and make it stronger to wrap up this warrior that they're fighting. So it makes me wonder that would be kind of a cool Easter egg if one of these new Superman Spider-Man crossover stories, if they like heat vision the web again to strengthen it. This is kind of
That'd
a
be fun.
callback to this.
I also love that it shows that Spider-Man made a sling for Nunchaka,
Oh yeah.
because I guess he got hurt during the fight.
Yeah. So, because he was like their helper and their guide. So N'Chaka stays with the guy they defeated, and Superman and Spider-Man run into the door they find. Yeah, is this Kilimanjaro? Like they go into the mountain? Is that what it's supposed to be?
I think it's like a part of the mountain. I think because they said it's like a specific spot. Yeah,
Yeah.
it says they leads them north to Kilimanjaro. So there's
So-
like it's like a hidden boulder within the area of Kilimanjaro.
But it is a massive evil lair inside there.
I appreciate that Spider-Man brings up a James Bond lair because it feels like a James Bond lair. And then comes the part that always makes me laugh is the fact that Lex Luthor has a Injustice gang of the world. By the way, it's not just Injustice gang; it's Justice Gang of the world. Like it's a basic. It looks like a sticker that they slapped on the side, the side of it, and it's like, and they have their own satellite headquarters that nobody's at because they got defeated. This is the thing that makes me laugh: is the Justice League defeated the Injustice gang, but just left their orbital headquarters there, apparently. And so Lex gets to use that for his purposes.
Yeah, it was a cool little nod to have the Injustice Gang mentioned because this is like a big supervillain team up. So I guess it was just cool to acknowledge like that's kind of a thing that happens in these universes.
I kind of wish that Doc Ock had brought up the Sinister Six, though. Be like, I know what you mean. I
Right.
once had a group of guys and we all fucked up, so I get what you mean about them getting defeated, type of thing.
Yeah, that should have been referenced there.
Yeah.
Doc Ock could have been like, oh yeah, like I had to team up with other villains before too.
Yeah, it would have been. I think it would have been a nice thing. I wish that was what they had said. But we find that Lois and Mary Jane have actually been in space this entire time on that place, which is kind of insane. He has the technology to transport a person into space. Why did he need a rocket to teleport himself up there if he could have just teleported himself there? But these are things that only modern people think about.
I mean,
Back
he
then,
also
no one cared.
he also wants to use that new satellite, ComLab 1, to disrupt weather on Earth and create these bad storms so that he can hold the Earth ransom for $10 billion. But, like, if you only want $10 billion, like, hey, I'm pretty sure if you, like, patented and sold your teleporter technology, you could make $10 billion pretty quick and not be a wanted criminal.
That was the funniest thing. I think normal Lex would be like 10 billion is like pennies. I have 10 billion. I wipe my ass with $10 billion is what modern Lex Luthor would tell him. He's like, I don't do anything for less than a gazillion. And so, and then there's this great little interlude where Jameson and Morgan Edge
I
have this
love that scene.
conversation.
Yeah, they're just
They
hanging out
just
at the bar. Well, it's like,
yeah
okay, you go to the news convention. It's like any convention in the world. You know, you go to a convention of whatever it is, and then like all the people that are there are gonna go socialize at the bar afterwards. So yeah, it made perfect sense
yeah,
to see
and they're
that.
just talking shit about their reporters and just as well as just like how important the comm lab seems. Like they're basically explaining why the comm lab wasn't delayed, even though Superman and Spider-Man had a fight outside, type of thing. And then comes this really cool splash page of them, the left side of the actual people activating the satellite, and Lex being like, "Ooh,"
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
very excited.
The art is so good. It's yeah, the 2-page spread, and it's like there's like 3 columns. Like the middle column is the actual space station, the ComLab 1, and then on the left column it's like a NASA guy like pressing buttons. He thinks he's like controlling the satellite and it's like doing things. And then like the right column you get the series of panels of Lex in the Injustice Gang satellite, and he's actually controlling ComLab 1 with his buttons. It's just like really cool do you see like that process of like NASA didn't think anything was wrong until like the very end.
Yeah, it's the funniest thing is that like they're like everything's going according to this plan. The guy's even like, yeah, this is just all bullshit. Like he says, we got a piece of cake today here, fellas, and Lex is just like fucking like just wait for it, bro.
Yeah.
And then he's like he says communication laser. So I guess Lex was able to make the laser focus, I guess, to become something insane. And then
Yeah.
I actually didn't realize this until right now, which is that you see Superman in the background of or not the background of him and Spider-Man approaching the middle panel on the satellite. Like you see them like at the very ends of it, like slowly coming at the satellite. And I also did forgot that Spider-Man is also flying one of Lex's Injustice Gang labeled jets. I didn't realize. I don't know why it didn't occur to me that's what it was.
He had a lot of those laying around the Kilimanjaro base, I guess.
I also like that. I think Spider-Man apparently read the manual because he knows how it works.
Hey, Peter is pretty good with the science, so.
But I love that Superman does this is a job for Superman, but unfortunately, both of them get shot with lasers.
Yeah, it's funny because like Superman is like flying around in space, and then Spider-Man is flying around this little spaceship. So it's just it's awkward and funny, but yes, it's very comic booky, you know.
It's very comic booky. In fact, the Spider-Man, the only reason he goes down is the ship's life support goes out when he gets shot with the laser, and he just immediately blacks out from lack of oxygen.
Yeah, so they both get knocked out by lasers, and then like there's also a laser shooting down at the Earth to create a like a massive hurricane.
Yeah, it's making like 2 hurricanes that he's trying to connect, and he's like, this is what I'm blackmailing them for. It's, you know, once if I let them, a bunch of hurricanes will spread. They'll become a superstorm, and it will just wipe out everything. Type of thing.
He does the villain monologue because Superman and Spider-Man, they're unconscious from the lasers, and then like they wake up on the Injustice Gang station, like in the presence of Doc Ock and Lex is like he's just spilling the beans on what the plan is, as you do if you're an evil villain.
Yeah, they got him monologuing, and then they actually catch him monologuing because they jump him mid monologue. And I love that they're both like, our positions seem clear, eh, Spider-Man? He's like, very, and then they immediately jump him.
yeah. Let's just start beating these guys up. That normally solves the problem.
Yeah, it's like I just got to hit them really hard, and that'll stop them. And then Lex does something that I thought was kind of funny, which is that he turns off the gravity. And I guess the only reason Superman's off balance is because he got shot with a laser.
Yeah, he's still dizzy. He's a little out of it still.
Yeah, because out of the 2 of them, Superman and Lex should have the best like I know what to do type of situations here. But since Superman's like a bit dazed, that's what's causing this. And Spider-Man's just like, it's crazy how fast it turns on Spider-Man because of it, because nothing he can do would work normally. The only downside I have is that why didn't Spider-Man try to like, stick himself to the ground to alleviate the anti-gravity? But I'm not the one who wrote this, so
just bump into something and then stick to it. But I thought that was really interesting that his web shooters don't work in 0G. The
It would
without
make sense.
gravity, it
Yeah.
shoots out weird.
Yeah, because have you ever seen that video of when the guy shows up how water does in space? There's like an astronaut. He has like a towel and he starts squeezing it, and then he moves the towel out of the way, and it's just this ball of water that just stays there because there's no like inertia from it.
I haven't seen that, but I've seen like a lot of like weird, things behave oddly in zero gravity. So that was a cool detail to have in here. And also like Doc Ock does pretty well in the 0G. He almost kind of seems like an octopus in the water, beating these guys up with his robo arms.
It's actually really cool that Doc Ock is like actually not having too bad of a time.
Yeah. Because he's kind of second fiddle to Lex, which, I mean, that in and of itself kind of makes sense to me. But I do like that they take the time to show Doc Ock have his moments to shine like this.
Well, what I liked about that is that it adds to what you'd said earlier when it looks like Otto is starstruck by Lex the first time he meets him, to the point where he's like, well, this guy's really smart. He has a great plan. I'm just gonna follow his lead, is basically what happens the whole way there, which is a very, very un-Otto thing to do, which is it's the only character I feel in the entire thing that doesn't work the way he normally would. Because that man is the fucking master planner. He's not known for taking orders type of thing. And when he does, it's usually against his will type of thing. And then Superman just rips off a fucking tentacle off of Otto. Because he also says one line that bothers me, which is there's a form of Oriental fighting, is what
Right.
Superman is a line that Superman says. I'm like, dude, I need you to chill.
Yeah, I mean,
You're
I guess
embarrassing me in front of the Spider-Man fan, Superman. I need you to fucking chill.
I guess at the time, I guess that might have been the correct term to use.
Second time you've done that to me, Superman. In this crossover. Stop embarrassing me in front of my Spider-Man fans.
But yeah, that stood out as awkward to me too. But he's trying to explain judo, but he's like, there's this rare exotic form of Oriental fighting, and
He
which you
should have
use.
just said judo.
Yeah,
Really
yeah,
should've
just say
said
judo. People know what that is.
And if not, they would just assume it's a fancy form of fighting.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And then my favorite thing is after he does that, he's like, but there's also, an equal and opposite reaction. So he gets slammed in the wall, too. And then I appreciate, though, that Otto does kind of not save the day, but like he stops the day from being completely ruined.
Yeah, well, before you say that, we should mention that he turns into Velma from Scooby-Doo when he loses his glasses.
Which also, that varies on Otto. Sometimes Otto can see, sometimes he can't. Depends on the writers on those. But I think it was funny that he got him back broken. And so that was pretty funny. But yeah, and then like Lex is just like, I don't fucking give a shit about this anymore. I'm just going to destroy everything. And then and then Spider-Man makes a gag that made me laugh out loud because this joke might not work anymore later down the line, which is, does Warner Brothers make movies?
Yeah, what did Superman ask him? He says, can you hold the fort alone? Because he was going to go outside of the space station to stop the hurricane on Earth. And yeah, then Spider-Man says, does Warner Brothers make movies? Or in other words, like, yes, I can. But okay, so I think I know the context of that, though. This was shortly after Time Warner purchased DC Comics. And as I have heard people talk about, like, at the time, a lot of the Marvel fans and a lot of the Marvel talent would make fun of DC, and they would call them Warner Comics. You're not even a comic book company. You're owned by this movie company, and they kind of would tease them about that. And all of those jokes of course stopped when Disney purchased Marvel. But
that and just everybody was. And then that and Marvel had sold off all their movie rights to save themselves. Like they're like, you were so broke, you had to sell your fucking movie rights, type of thing. And then eventually Superman. This is the only thing I kind of dislike about this comic is that when Superman saves the day, it kind of just ends, kind of thing. Because there's still some stuff in between where Spider-Man and Doc Ock are fighting, and then This is when Doc Ock stops Lex,
Yeah,
but
Doc Ock has his face turn when he's like, "Well, I can't just let this guy destroy the world." Here, Spider-Man like pointed out to him, "It's like all that money you're always trying to get, Doc Ock. What are you gonna spend it on if Lex destroys the world?"
it's funny because that's not the only time I've ever heard that be a plot point in a DC thing. Did you ever watch Justice League Doom?
Which one? That was the one with
It was like the
Vandal
Tower Battle.
Savage. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
There's
have
a
seen that. Yeah.
there's a point where they're just like, you can make a whole lot of money, and then afterwards he's like, oh, by the way, I'm going to destroy the entire world. They're like, well, what's the point of my money then? Type of
Right.
thing. So, but they don't have a change of heart in that movie, unfortunately. But I think there's another thing that does something similar. But yeah, my only issue is that like it seems that Lex and Doc Ock end up just fighting each other instead, and then Superman saves the day in a pretty cool way because this is giant tidal wave. Like
And more gorgeous art too.
yeah, it's wonderful, and he says it's a 200 miles long, 1 mile high tidal wave, and he just flies through it in a way that forces it to stop.
The sound coming off of Superman, it's like he goes Mach 1, Mach 2, Mach 3, and it was like the sonic booms were so fast that a wall of sound collided with a wall of water and stopped a hurricane so big it was going to destroy like the entire American East Coast.
I think this is my favorite way he stopped a tidal wave. There's three ways you've seen he stopped a tidal wave that I've seen. One is this one. The other one's actually in Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman. Is what he does is that when the tidal wave's coming in, he creates a trench by like just digging back and forth. And what it does is that the trench causes the water to go down into the trench, so the tidal wave goes down. So it ends up like flattening once it gets to him. And then
He flattened the curve like in
Yes.
the COVID days.
exactly, he did it without a mask and anything. Dean Kane jokes, everybody. And then the other one is actually kind of funny because I don't know if it was going to completely work because of what happens in the scene. Have you ever read The Last Family of Krypton?
That sounds familiar. Remind me what that story is.
It's an Elseworld where what if instead of just Clark, it's the entire
Okay, where they
family.
all come.
There's a scene where Superman is trying to stop a tidal wave, and what he does is he evaporates the wave instead. He flies back and forth with his heat vision to evaporate the wave to go away. And then, but the reason I said I don't know if it would work or not is that Jor-El shows up and like stops it in a different way. I forgot how he stops it. And then he fucking like yells at Clark in front of everybody in Kryptonese, and everyone's just like, "What are they doing?" He's like, "I don't know, but I know a dad talk down when I see one." It was real funny. But no, this is one of my this is probably my favorite ways I've ever done it. But I don't know if current Superman is like known for being able to do this sort of speed.
But it was also a really cool page layout, the way that they show Superman stop the tidal wave at the same time Spider-Man punches out Lex. I guess like Spider-Man and Doc Ock team up to fight Lex, and then Spider-Man gives them the blow to knock him out.
It's really fun, and again, the only issue I have after that is it just sort of ends because they they come straight down. You don't ever even see Lois and Mary Jane talking to each other again. Essentially, like they're clearly having a discussion in the background every time, and then they also just kind of have a conversation in front of each other that seems to indicate that Spider-Man is just willing to tell Clark who he is, essentially, because he says,
well, no, okay, I think I understand this. Spider-Man knows that Superman has X-ray vision, and there's even like a point of that earlier when Superman uses his X-ray vision on the building they enter, and then Spider-Man's like, "Oh man, that's so cool that you can just X-ray into there." But like I think he's figured out like this guy can see under my mask. He probably knows that I'm Peter Parker from the news convention, but he's going to be too nice and polite to say anything about it. But I feel like he knows. Okay, there's no way that this guy doesn't know, so he can be like a little coy with them.
Yeah, because he says it was just luck he grabbed my girl too, and he says it in a way that makes it seem that he knew that they would be, that he knew he was him.
Yeah,
like, I know that you know that I know that you know.
On the Because yeah, after we see like the page of them, like they, like Spider-Man swings off with Doc Ock webbed up, and Superman flies off with Lex webbed up, and then there's that final page where everyone is back in their civilian clothes, where like Clark is telling Morgan Edge like, oh, I got all this footage of this crazy story, these heroes fighting these villains, and then Peter is like, oh, I have all these pictures of that, and you know, like they're talking to each other, like Peter is like, funny, Kent, I don't remember seeing you there,
Yeah,
and
there's like the bolding of the letters are all on you
yeah.
specifically. They're going like, I don't recall seeing you there. He's like, apparently just like you.
Yeah. Clark is like I didn't see you there, and then Peter is like, I stick to the shadows, Kent. Apparently, just like you.
Very, very fun. A very fun little moment. And then they talk. Then they're just like, you know what? And they both get like free dinners from their bosses. And then it seems
Yeah,
like
it's a happy
it's,
ending.
they seem to decide to all four go together. I guess, which I guess yeah, is a happy ending.
I love that last panel is beautiful to me. Where Peter and Mary Jane and Clark and Lois, and they're holding hands, walking down the sidewalk in the city to go have dinner together. But it's just because those relationships mean so much to me. Like the Peter Mary Jane relationship used to be one of my favorite romances in superhero comics, and their marriage used to be something I really enjoyed in the comics.
No.
And Clark and Lois are they have that now. And it's just sometimes these characters get to have like these happy lives and marriages with each other, and sometimes they don't. And it's funny, like looking back in 1976, that was a time when, you know, Peter was able to be dating Mary Jane, but Clark and Lois had to stay separate because like she was in love with Superman but not Clark Kent, and it just, but reading it now, it's like, oh, now like Lois and Clark are like happily married and have a kid, and or like maybe they have like two versions of that kid right now. I'm not sure what the hell's going on with John at the current
John,
moment in time.
yeah,
But,
John's got some weird shit going on with it. No,
but
there's the reign of the
regardless,
Superboys is going full on right now.
regardless, like Mary Jane and Peter can't even be married anymore. So
Yeah, it's the whole thing. They can't even be together anymore. That's what frustrates me. It's just constantly just them being fucking over and over again, just cock teasing us. My other issue is that Marvel doesn't understand what to do with side characters anymore. The fact that Mary Jane is Venom right now, to me, says everything about the status quo of the side characters in Marvel. That there's no such thing as a civilian in Marvel anymore, and that's
yeah,
very frustrating.
I figured that out when they put Pepper Potts in rescue armor. But
Yes, exactly. I think the only one who sometimes stays normal is Foggy, but he's died and come back a few times, so I don't even know if that counts anymore.
yeah, I mean
Jimmy,
Aunt May has died and come back a few times. So,
yeah,
or
and
I guess one time, but
well, no,
maybe again.
Well, the way she died and came back was the dumbest thing ever, which is like, no, it was an actress that Norman Osborn hired to pretend to be Aunt May that he poisoned to death at the very last second to make sure that she was like, you know, I'm your Aunt May or whatever. And I had her secretly in my basement. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then and yeah, there's not really, like, Jarvis isn't really a thing as much as I know either, as far as I know. Like every Jarvis is an AI now.
Well, at least Jarvis didn't get killed by Bane.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I'm surprised that's still sticking around. Tom King is surprised it's still sticking around. But yeah, I digress. That's a whole other discussion. But right now, like I said, we said that's how that ended. And Spider-Man and Superman have had at least two other crossovers that weren't part of a giant crossover event. Like I don't count DC versus Marvel, but the main reason is because that was Ben Reilly. It wasn't even Peter Parker, because they for some reason they decided to make Ben Reilly the one during that time, and he fights Superboy in the DC versus Marvel thing.
Yeah, well, it was 1996. Yeah, so
that's why I don't count that time frame. But there was the right after this is the Presents thing or whatever, which is that one. One of the reasons we decided not to talk about that one is a crossover of not just Superman and Spider-Man. It has the Incredible Hulk in it, and it has Wonder Woman in it, as well as just these two characters. So that one has a lot going on in it.
Is that the one with Doctor Doom?
Yeah, Doctor Doom and
Okay.
Parasite are supposed to be the main villains of it. I've only read it once. I had a chance to buy it the same way I bought this comic, but I ended up not doing it. I only regret it slightly, but it's more like what would I have done with it, because it's not as easy to frame, because they actually sold it in a small book. The one I found, it was like a small book.
Huh.
It was like a small paperback about like yay big, very tiny. But they still wanted like $50 for it, and I was like, no, I'm good. So I couldn't even display it very well. So I was like, I don't really want that much. And I didn't like the crossover nearly as much, because that's the crossover where Superman stands there and Hulk keeps punching him and nothing happens to him. And I'm like, well, that's kind of more of a disservice to Hulk than it is anything else. But yeah, they did the DC All Access thing, Marvel All Access thing, which caused I think the amalgam thing, or not actually, I think it was part of the amalgam thing.
Yeah, that was in the 1996 crossover. That was the one that was. It was just called DC versus Marvel.
Yeah, something like that. And then that one involves Venom getting powered up. And then there's like technically one other one, but it's an Avengers one, which is the Justice League Avengers one. But I get it doesn't really involve Spider-Man at
Yeah,
all.
I don't even remember Spider-Man. I'm sure he appears in that, but I don't remember him doing anything.
Yeah, he's not really a part of it. It's more of a Captain America. It's
Well,
more of a Captain America Superman story than anything else.
I feel like I just am grumpy old man sometimes, but I mean, historically, Spider-Man is not supposed to be an Avenger, or at least like that's the world I grew up in.
No, yeah, we grew up in the world where Spider-Man was at best a reserve Avenger, and that
Yeah,
was if he got lucky. And
because he's a loner. He's
most of the time they didn't want to give him that. Yeah, he's a loner. He's tried multiple times to join groups, and they went, "Nah, I'm good." And so, yeah, that's what happened with that. But no, I've always loved this crossover immensely. It still holds up very well outside of a few things that have aged poorly. But that's more just because of the wordings of
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, like if
They
you read
change.
anything from 1976, and you're gonna notice some things are probably not the nice way of saying them today, which is kind of a good, healthy sign because it's like, oh wow, in the 50 years since this was written, we've improved. Like
Yeah,
they wouldn't write this in a comic now.
there's always one I bring up where Spider-Man is like against a protest, like a school protest. Like Peter's like, these fucking dumb, lazy protesters. And then like years later, another writer's like, yeah, man, one time I yelled at some protesters, and it's kind of reading some Ayn Rand at the time.
Yeah, no, I like that though. Yeah, he went through like a shitty libertarian phase, as a lot of young men do. So, and he grew out of it, as they all should.
Exactly, exactly. And I love, comics are great because they are this weird time capsule more than even movies are. Because with movies, a lot of people won't watch older movies because they're like, well, it's black and white and all this stuff, even though they're great. But with comics, you never have to run into that issue. You never have to look at old comic art and be like, well, this is Grandpa's Superman. You're like, no, it's just Superman.
Yeah, that's
There's nothing like weird about it. Like I get it if you're watching the 50 show versus like, the
sure.
current movie, but comics are the same either all the way through. There's nothing different about any of them.
Well, I don't think I have any other thoughts on this, but we should remind people that next week we'll be discussing the new Spider-Man Superman crossover, or it's so the one that comes out now is
This is the
Superman
Superman
slash
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Okay, and then
Yeah.
in April we'll get the Spider-Man slash Superman.
Yeah, we're getting the DC one first because they're doing it the way this is gonna sound weird to some people because this never actually happened. Originally, Street Fighter cross Tekken, there was gonna be a Tekken cross Street Fighter, and so we're basically doing that. The only difference is that the other one will in fact come out. I mean, they also did it with Deadpool and Batman. It was I think Deadpool and Batman was first, and then it was Batman Deadpool. So I think they traded off who was going first this time around. And I'm very excited because there's supposed to be some backup stories for some of them, and I'm curious to see where they're going to go with them.
Yeah, I'm excited to read that. So I'm gonna try to get my copy Wednesday at the store, but I might get a if I like it, I'll buy a digital copy too.
Yeah, I'll probably get the digital one. I already ordered the physical one, but I'll probably get the digital just because I'm probably going to hang the other one right away, maybe, possibly. Or I might wait for the April one to come and then hang it with that one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about. I'm kind of in a Spider-Man mood now after talking about the Spider-Man story, so that'll be great to get some more Spidey very soon. And uh, then in the weeks after that, well, we're looking forward to the other crossover. There's plenty of Superman stuff to talk about. I'm about to get caught up on some of the Superman comics I'm currently reading, but also we're getting prepared for the Supergirl movie coming out this year, and we're going to be talking about at some point the 1984 Supergirl movie that everyone hates, but I have a soft spot for. But also there's some ridiculous shit in there that I can't defend. But
That movie's insane, but
it is.
apparently there's an extended edition of it, so I need to figure
Oh
that out how
God.
to find that one.
Yeah, I might need to see that at some point.
I've never
Also,
seen the extended one.
we can talk about some of Supergirl's TV appearances and her own show, and also Superman the animated series and Justice League Unlimited. And Lobo is a fun character to talk about. He's going to be a big part of that movie coming out later this year. So
I'm so curious about that. I can't wait for more information for that movie, and then so we can see exactly what's going on with it. Sorry, I'm also fucking with the Superman figure if people can't see it.
yeah, Mike has the kaiju bashing Superman fist bumping up a storm. But thanks everyone who watched us live on YouTube, and thank you everyone watching or listening to this later. Come back soon for some more Superman Spider-Man crossover talk. And until next time, as always, keep it super, y'all.